It's a bubble tea time. It's been about a week, so it's time to see our faces once again. I'm your host, Dekadonu. You've seen me before. To my right is Mr. Satan. Yeah. Hello, Mr. Satan.
Hello, everybody. How are we doing?
And then to his right is Coco the Dragon. Hello.
Top of the morning.
Without the functioning webcam, there's Steven Karsaki Ace as a first-time
Uh,
analyst this season. And then our special guest is m1tchypoo. Hello, m1tchypoo. We do have a camera for
hello.
you. All right, let's kick into it. This is going to be a quick one since we have two games tonight. It's insane. Two games at the same exact time. Unfortunate. But you can see them on stream 1, stream 2. So let's talk about the match recap. One of those games is going to play very shortly in 27 minutes as Second Breakfast, which is deep dive. So we won't talk about that one. But we can talk about EXO versus MBB, where EXO came home the winner. James, do you want to give us a rundown of what happened in that game?
Real quick rundown. As a jungler, I enjoyed watching it. I saw Charlie went for a bunch of early ganks on his Kane, got his evolve super early, and was all over the map. But I think it's a good case study of sometimes being on the map a bunch isn't necessarily of the greatest benefit because Puppa was able to farm up objectives, get a leveler and a half or so ahead, and kind of was able to, take control of the map behind the scenes. And it allowed EXO to kind of get off to a bit of an early start, some early roams out of Dakar in the mid, netted them 2 dives bot, and once they got to mid-game team fights around 13 14 minutes, they kind of naturally accrued this gold lead. And so from a jungle perspective, I think it's kind of an interesting study of when it's best to show yourself and when it's best to maybe stay a little bit hidden and let the enemy guess where you might be. But overall, a good game out of both teams, and but EXO brought home the win.
All right, speaking of bringing home the win, we had GB take home their own win against PO. Steven, since you are a critical member of GB, what happened in that game against PO?
I think we just had one of those comps where if you get some early leads, the game's kind of over. We had Nikolai playing setup, and then we had a lot of damage output from the side lanes with our wonderful sub Worm, making some insane Zac engages. I think it was decently clean until we started trolling and messing around a little bit. But what is League of Legends without having a little fun with a lead?
All right, well, what is League of Legends? THD answered that one against AR. Sorry to put you on the spot, Coco, as the sad recipient of the L, but THD versus AR, what THD's favorite? Can you give me a little bit of a rundown there?
True. Honestly, it was a really well played game by THD. They set up a composition that needed to at least have a stable early game, and they executed it almost like 9 out of 10, like almost perfectly. They really caught us off guard with a lot of the early neutral objectives that they were able to snag up, and that led to a point where they pretty much just were able to choke us out of any resources. And so it was like a massive win for THD and a big morale booster for them coming into the next week.
Nice. A team that might need a morale boost is RB, who lost to TSC. m1tchy, walk us through that match right there too.
I think the biggest thing kind of going in was just like, all right, their strength is their mid jungle is every single game they win, they play through their mid jungle and it's really, really strong. So we just need to find a way to get through mid jungle. So I think our draft like played out really, really well. We kind of stole an Annie very early, which was like I think it was like 2 or 3 days like right after the hot fix. So that was like really good. And then just like we got a really good matchup mid, and then Jarvan into Sejuani. If Jarvan doesn't get super super active early, then Sejuani just kind of like slowly gets more and more of a priority throughout the game. And our goal was just to kind of like, all right, hey, if we shut down this mid jungle, it allows a lot less pressure off of the bot lane and just like stay and play through mid jungle and our bot. And that was kind of like the goal. And I think that we drafted for it really, really well. And we executed it just as well, I think. Although Mian did get a really insane smite steal. So shout out to that.
All right, let's move on to dance stats since our match recap is over. We have a highlighted matchup this time, or Satan's stats, sorry. Highlighted matchup this time of Cincy versus the Nick Mead. Matchup as old as time. Yeah, walk me through this one, Mr. Satan.
You kind of already hit a lot of the good points. Everybody knows Cincy and Nick Mead. I think this will be a pretty important matchup in EXO versus GB. I think this season, since he's kind of started off popping off, having some pretty show off games, and Nick Mead, while statistically falling a little bit behind his counterpart here, I think has shown in the past a very high potential. So I think this game is going to be critical for both these bottom lanes to see if they can be, kind of the drivers and who can topple this matchup one way or the other. Because I think that's where their lanes are most evenly matched up, and who can kind of spill it in their favor is gonna bring this one home. So hopefully we will see a stellar matchup out of those two and see if one of them can come out on top.
All right, it's going to be a stellar matchup, and the teams against themselves too. EXO versus GB. That will be a stellar one. Let's move on to predictions and see who we think will come out ahead. It's in the middle of the street, kind of, but there it is, EXO versus GB, and it's going to be a pretty big landslide towards EXO, 7-1. Chase isn't here to defend his GB prediction, but Steven is here to defend his team against all comers. So give me the TLDR, the 411, on how your team's going to take home the W in 22 minutes.
All I have to say is, imagine asking somebody to sub in for an analyst spot and then purely disrespecting him right here. That is crazy. Anyways, like I said last week in the interview, Nikolai is gonna embarrass. He's gonna embarrass them. Okay, he's gonna 1v9 carry, embarrass Dekar. It's gonna be free. Okay, you're all wrong except Chase. Chase, you're a genius.
Chase is a genius. In Brazil, he's nodding his head in his sleep right now, like, yep, that's right, Steven. All right, back to the predictions. We'll start at the top now, other than XOVGB. There's SB versus MBB. Pretty split here. We've got 5 votes for SB, 3 votes for MBB. How about Mitch? Give me the 411 on this one. You did vote for MBB.
Yes, so I did vote for MVB, and the reason why is because I don't know if Misa's able to show up or not for that. I know that there's like some scheduling issues there. I think he's kind of like a huge part of that team. So, definitely that. And then on top, I think also too, I feel like MVB is like one strong game away of just like really flipping standings right now, because their team is really strong, and when they do work, they work really, really well. And once they are ahead, they do kind of really take over the game. So I think that they can definitely pull out the win. However, I feel like this is going to be like a super volatile bot lane. Like, I think whoever wins bot lane is just going to win the game that game for sure.
All right, down to the bot lanes. All right, for the next matchup, we have AR versus Deep Dive, where everyone except for Mitchie again chose AR. But since I just or Deep Dive, but since I just called on you, Mitchie, we're gonna ask an AR member to respond to this disrespect. Mr. Satan, give me a response to this disrespect.
I don't got much of a response to this disrespect. We've had a shaky 2 weeks, and if we want to keep a positive record, we've got to win this one. I think I'm gonna be off tanks this week, and I wanna go punch for punch with Mina and see how that goes. But we'll see. Coco might have a more positive spin on our efforts, but to be determined. I respect the m1tchypoo's vote, but I'm a bit
Oh
suspect
no, like
myself.
mine wasn't even biased. That was like 100% real. I actually think you guys can win this game. Like 100%.
Could win, but not will win.
Okay, but can they win now?
Will win.
He just
they
leaked
win
his
now?
strat. He just
No,
leaked his strat.
Oh,
No, I think straight up it's this, right? The game is gonna come down to the jungle map. Mina is without a doubt the best jungler in the league right now. Like
Ooh.
literally game for game is just completely overperforming, and it's not close. Look, I'm a jungler, Mr. Satan's a jungler. We can kind of just agree here. Like she's stomping every game, right? So the key to this is how to attack that. And if AR can develop and find a way to attack that jungle, then I'm 100% convinced that they can win this game.
All right, big ifs, but hopefully some of them will come true. THE versus TSC. Coco, since I didn't call on you for AR, I'm going to call on you for this one. You voted TSC in this matchup, but it is a split matchup across the board. It's actually 4-4 vote, the closest one we have. So why is it that TSC edges ahead here?
Well, honestly, I wanted to make this one of the more 50-50 because there is a lot of
Okay.
bias in this week's predictions. Like you could see that they're pretty heavy-sided on one team or the other. And I wanted this one to be a 50-50 one because it feels like a lot of these teams are also pretty on the day. They can do really well in practice games with each other in flex queue or scrim and have like a really successful run. But when it comes to the day, it's just really just who got the good amount of sleep in, who's feeling the good vibes, and to be honest, we gotta respect our guest here, m1tchypoo. You're gonna fucking crush
Hey,
it,
my
man.
man.
You're gonna just dominate it.
Yeah,
You
dude,
and
I'm banned
Javi,
from. I'm not gonna play Kane, so I think
hell
we have a
yeah,
chance.
hell yeah.
All right, and then finally, P versus RB. 3 whole voters couldn't vote for this one since they're all in the match. But Steven, I'm gonna leave this one to you. RB, they're on a 3. Oh, we're on a 3-game slide. Why is it, even after the 3-game slide, it's still a clean sweep in projections against PO?
Um, honestly, I think people overrate you.
Oh dang, okay. Like
But
you as
in
a team or
reality,
you as a player?
you as a player, you
Oh
specifically,
my
Brian.
lord.
But when
Okay,
I
I
say
got you.
overrate, I don't mean like you're. I don't mean that you're overrated. I just what I'm saying is in the now, right? People. Oh, sorry. Let me start over. People think that you can make a team significantly better than most people, and therefore they have a lot of faith in you. That's why everyone voted for you.
All right, all right. Why did you vote for me?
Um,
Did you buy into
man,
the hype?
look, dude, look. Uh, there's no nice way to say this, okay? It was much more difficult to beat you. That's why I voted for RB. And by you, I mean your
Hmm.
team this
All
time.
right, all right.
Valid.
Okay, well, we'll see if PO can turn the tides against the overwhelming sweep against them. Let's move on to get guest questions. We have a question here from Matt from Mitch. I have a question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you love Javier?
12.
Art. 12. All right.
12, 100%.
12
I
out
love
of 10.
Javi. I miss him so much. I can't wait till he comes back.
You broke the scale. Question from Landry. For the boy who lived, is the new jungler he's spamming going to be ready for this upcoming BTL game?
All right. So I did a 20-game challenge of solo queue with Landry where I made him play Belveth for 20 games and he made me play Nidalee for 20 games. And I had a 20% win rate on Nidalee. So I think I need a few more games.
All
I think I
right,
need
all
a
right.
few more.
Question again from Landry. Also, for the fastest man alive, who is your favorite top laner and why?
My favorite top laner in BTL 100% is Ares of Doom. 100%. I am his biggest fan.
Oh man, don't you have a top laner?
I do have a top laner, but he's playing mid
Uh,
right now.
okay, fair. That's a good dodge. I like that. That's some PR stuff right there. Question from Wired. Question for Mitch. When do you pick Twitch jungle?
It's agreed. When you have Lulu mid.
Okay, that's a very niche scenario, I see. Question for Mina. Can we go back to talk more about MBB? Do the other teams even matter? This is an open question.
They haven't played this week. What's there to say about them?
Damn, true.
Well,
I
I
know they haven't
think
played next week.
so. I think with MBB to kind of like brush on it really quickly. I think the MBB SB game, which I think is actually going to be a really, really fun game to watch. I think like the biggest takeaway is going to be draft. 100%. I think that if one team has a better draft than the other, I think that that team will win. Straight up. And by better draft, I mean better bot lane.
All right, better bot lane draft. And then finally, from Mina again, I have a question for Coco. What's his hair care process?
My hair care process
She's impressed.
is well, I'm a big advocate now of L'Oreal shampoo. I think their shampoo
Hey,
is
same.
top notch. It's huge, and I definitely use them because I have highlights. You got to go with like their blonde shampoo and conditioner from there. And then I actually shower at night so that when I just have really fun dreams and I just rub my head on the pillow, it styles it. So it's really low effort, but it's a lot of fun. And, you know, good dreams means good memes. So keep on living it.
Well, it seems like you have good dreams all the time,
Hell yeah.
Coco. finally, let's move on to standings. We do have the standings
Really quick,
graphic. Oh,
can I ask a quick question to you guys
sure, go for
really
it.
quickly? So, from I've watched majority of the games so far this season, as many as I could, right? And again, maybe it's because I'm a player, but I definitely am seeing the games kind of in a different light, right? So for me, I kind of sat here and thought about this for a minute, and I was like, there's a couple of players who I think are like really, really, really good, but they just don't get the limelight because, maybe they're playing weak side top lane, or maybe they're like playing support and they kind of have to take a couple of L's every once in a while. And I was wondering if you guys had those like underrated players like on your team that don't really get enough shout outs, but like definitely deserve at least one.
Mhm.
This is your Ares of Doom love story over here.
Well,
Who
okay,
who are our
I
Ares of
definitely,
Dooms?
yeah. So like for me, like listen, okay, I love Ares of Doom because it's like one, I watched him 3 years ago when I first started watching BTL, right? And it's like he was struggling up there, man. But now it's like he is a rock in the top side, right? D Drew, I feel like is another one to me. He completely clowned me playing Casio. That was like actually embarrassing, not gonna lie. But like the dude has just been performing like literally every game. Mazed Mecha on THD, who I'm playing in a couple of days, is like another person that it's like, Two Hands has been having phenomenal games. Caribou's had like really crazy games in on the Mordekaiser, right? But it's like, Maze Mecha has just been like really popping off. Like Jay Chung is another one that I was just kind of sitting here and I was like, I want to know what you guys thought about a couple of players that just, definitely need a little bit of shout out.
Yeah,
Um,
I think Tate on Deep Dive is the
True,
unsung
Tate.
hero.
Tate?
His champion pool has yet to be really tested, but I think Tate, their mid laner, Daniel or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely underprojected him in the start of the season since nobody had played with him. I think he's a lot better than the projections are. And I think he's a big reason why Mina can get so much space in jungle. Like they always have a rock, especially when he's on his like favorite
Mhm.
picks like Swain and Rumble.
Mhm.
I was gonna say Nishant on GB. I remember when we were playing against them, he was on Sejuani, and despite the fact that I feel like we had a pretty good control of the map from early in the game, the guy had like 90% like plus KP. Like plays were happening around him, and he was where he needed to be, and it was a pretty stellar performance. And I feel like I've seen a lot of junglers this season, even if they're thrown on tank duty constantly, they are getting like high KP, and they are making plays for their team. And it's been I think it's been a definitely a positive trend, and it's great to see even the junglers that get tossed on tank duty like your top laners still make plays happen around him.
True. Thank you guys for letting me ask that. I apologize.
Well,
All right. Thank you for the question. It was a good one. We're gonna wrap this one up so the teams can play. Let's talk about standings. We have our graphic here. A couple of these teams haven't finished their last week's games, namely Deep Dive and SB, which will finish today, and we'll update the standings accordingly. But as of this moment, we have one undefeated team, Deep Dive, EXO in second. A bunch of people at 3-2. SB might join them here, or maybe not. Maybe Deep Dive gets taken down one peg, even though they'll still be in first. And then a couple teams, MBB and RB at 8th place at 2 and 4, and then unfortunately PO at sole possession at 10th at 1 and 5. We'll see if they can climb the ladder. Yep, that'll do it for today.
Yep.
Thanks everyone for joining this cast. Thanks everyone for tuning into BTT. Thank you, Mitchie, for being our special guest.
Woo.
And we'll see you guys next time, next week. Goodbye.
Bye.
Next Monday. Goodbye.
Good luck in your games tonight.